I was terrified of cutting a single leaf from my garden. For most of my life, I've struggled with scarcity mindset. I've had this quiet fear of not having enough. I was always saving for a special day that would rarely come. And with this mindset, it becomes hard to enjoy the tomatoes that life brings to you. You probably think, like I did a few months ago, that gardening is all about planting seeds and picking what grows. But what I discovered completely changed the way I see things. I never thought that this fear would follow me into my own garden, leaving me too anxious to harvest the very things I was trying to grow. But this little garden had a lesson to teach me about abundance, and it completely changed the way I see everything. If you are new here to my channel, nice to meet you. I am Luciana. I like to produce content to inspire you to live your best life with balance, because I believe balance is the base of a healthy lifestyle, of a happy lifestyle, if you will. And I love to share content to inspire you to seek your own balance. If you're not new here, you already saw my garden many times, because I already made videos specific about my garden, but I also post vlogs and I show you how I take care of my garden. I started gardening out of pure curiosity. And let's be honest, because I love trying new things. I imagined a cozy little balcony with fresh greens I could use in my kitchen. You know, that sweet, romantic vision we all get when we start something new. One sunny morning, I wandered through the nursery, picked out a few seedlings, and came home buzzing with excitement. Setting up my little balcony garden felt like building a cozy, sacred space just for me. From the beginning, I made a decision. I wasn't going to overthink it. No obsessing over the quote-unquote right way to garden. I wanted to learn by doing, mistakes and all, because more than anything, I wanted this to be fun. This wasn't about feeding a family or starting some side hustle. It was about joy, and honestly, it still is. Some people might not even call it a real garden. It's just a few pots on a balcony. But to me, it's magic, because it's mine and it makes me happy. But then reality hit. On our last vlog, I talked about my scarcity mentality, or the lack of abundance mentality. This mindset, I have this problem that I have since I was a child, of being always afraid of losing things or being afraid of not having enough. Yeah, it's hard. And you also know that here on my channel, I like to take things slowly. Actually, it's my mantra for this year, to be more present, to be more balanced, of course, and to be more easygoing, I would say. If I don't pay attention, I can get very controlling. And that's why every time I have a hobby, I try to go for the relaxing approach, I would say. I also posted a video a few weeks ago, I'll leave here, about my training for the marathon. I reached the half marathon mark, and I explained on that video that my approach to running is a chilled one, it's a relaxing one, how I like to call it, a gentle one. It's not based on performance, but on achievement, on a gentle way. If you are interested, if you are curious about how to run a marathon like in a gentle way, I totally recommend that video. And I have the same approach for gardening. Actually, when I started this garden, at first I thought about learning everything about garden, maybe having a spreadsheet with all the timing, all the tasks that I should take. And then I thought, no, this is not a good idea, because it's a hobby and we have to enjoy our hobbies. Maybe my controlling personality, my obsessive personality can be a good thing when I'm working. I can be very detail oriented, I can be very focused on tasks, but when we talk about hobby, they should relax us, not bring more anxiety. So that's why I decided to take a more relaxing approach. By that, I mean I decided to learn as I do it. Basically, I water every day, I check the leaves, I tell them they are so beautiful and they are doing great. I decided I would take this first year to learn more, to see what doesn't thrive here on my balcony. I mean, learning through experience. And in the process, I started realizing how my scarcity mindset was playing a role on how I was dealing with my garden. I mean, one of the basic things of a garden is, of course, is to water, is to fertilize, but it's also to prune the garden. And I started realizing that that was a challenge for me because of my mindset. I was always afraid to cut too much and not having enough. And this is the current state of my garden right now. Let's be totally honest here. I wanted to show you that even though I've been getting better and I come here every day, as you can see, it's still hard for me to maintain it in a, how can I say, in a neat state. We have flowers here that come from the arugula that should have been cut. And as you can see, we have yellow arugula. I mean, it passed the time of harvesting. I should have harvested this before. And you know why this happens? It's just because I see the arugula here, or I see the lettuce, I see the spinach, and I think, okay, it's beautiful, it's ready to be eaten. But at the same time, I think I'm not recording a vlog today, so I'm gonna cut, and then when I have the opportunity to make a video about it, I will not have it. And that happens with the spinach, with the lettuce, and with everything in my life, even clothes. I want to wear this cute top or this cute dress, but I'm always thinking, oh, but maybe I'm going to a better restaurant next week, so I have to save this dress for a better restaurant, even if I'm going to a good restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. So coming back to the topic, this is the state right now. The leaves, they get yellow, and I have to cut them without eating them. Oh, and another thing that I want to show you, where is it? Here. I cut it a week ago, and I already have more spinach coming in. So, as I said, I have to learn to trust the process. The cilantro, as you can see, they already have big roots here because I should have cut them before, because the more you cut it, the bushier it gets. I would have way more cilantro by this time if I had cut them. Here I have the parsley. In the beginning, I thought they were not thriving, but as soon as I started cutting it, it got better. And to be honest, oh my God, my hand right now smells like basil. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, as soon as I started cutting the basil, it got better. And I don't have much problem with basil right now because I use it a lot. To be honest, the easiest one for me is the tomato plant, because the tomatoes, they are pretty, how can I say, straightforward. You need to wait the tomatoes to be red so you can harvest. You don't need to decide as much as other herbs. Here the oregano, and they are thriving, and they prove the point, the nature point, because I cut it almost every day and it gets better and better. But as you can see, I still have leaves here that I have to come every day and take them off. So why am I sharing this? Not because I have all the answers or the secret to growing the perfect balcony garden, but because I think you might see yourself in my story. This channel has always been about balance and about building our best lives, not through perfection, but through honesty. And sometimes that means showing you the messy parts too, the doubts, the lessons, the small wins that feel huge. Because if my little garden can help me start healing my mindset, maybe it can spark something in you too. I don't want to go too deep on that. If you have the same problem as me, you're going to relate, or if you don't have the same problem, maybe you will not understand or even laugh at me. But I grew up with this problem. It's a problem that I'm always afraid of not having enough money, of not having enough things, and that makes me sometimes make decisions based on fear instead of opportunities. And that's a big problem, you can imagine, right? Long story short, I grew up in a third world country. My family was not extremely poor, but we were definitely poor. I didn't have a lot of abundance when I was growing up, so that could explain a little my personality. And of course, I have an obsessive personality, as I already told you, so mix everything together and you have my problem. So I started realizing that I would get anxious every time I had to prune something and when I had to harvest. Because if you ever had any herbs in your kitchen or in your garden, you know that you actually have to harvest so you can use it. And you cannot believe, if you're not like me, that would bring anxiety to me. And I had this problem in the past when I had my herbs in the kitchen. I had this beautiful bush of parsley, and ready to be used, I would have this anxiety every time I had to cut, because I would be afraid that if I cut today, I wouldn't have tomorrow. And what if tomorrow I have a better dinner, I have a more fancy dinner or a more special occasion, and I wouldn't have my parsley? And yeah, maybe you are laughing at me right now, but this is a serious problem. A few weeks ago, I harvested the first spinach from my garden. It's ready, right? Look how beautiful. Oh, I am so, how can I say, I get anxious about it because it took so long to grow. Actually, it didn't took that long, but you know, I saw them grow, so they are my baby. Let's just cut it. And just like that, we have the salad for tonight. We have spinach. Look how beautiful they are. Oops, that's why we shouldn't play with the food. And I was so excited. It was hard. What if I use it all the spinach? What if it doesn't grow again? And surprise, surprise, of course it's not the same yet, but it's growing again. So I actually have to trust the process, or I have to trust the nature actually, because this is nature, right? It's not magic. It's not that magically my spinach grew back. It was expected, because that's how nature works. Looking at this problem, I came with this solution. Actually, it's a type of solution that controlling or compulsive people like me love. I came up with a few rules that I have to follow so I can not only track my garden, but most importantly, I can track my own behavior. The first simple rule is I cut something every day. Oh, it's hard. I water my garden every day, especially this time of the year because it's too hot. So I have to water the garden every day. And after I water, I come with my scissor or my, how can I call it? I forgot the name. Anyways, and I have to cut something. So let's start by cutting these flowers, because we only have flowers when the plant starts to prepare itself to reproduce. And this is not a good thing, because of course the plant will prioritize reproduction, meaning it's gonna start not taking care of the leaves, which is the part we eat, and the leaves can start being bitter, or not optimal for consumption. I should have cut before the flowers, before we have flowers, but it is what it is. Actually, I think I'm gonna prune this even deeper. Yes, let's do it. Let's take advantage that you are here with me. I feel your energy. I feel your support. Let's do it. Oh my God, I feel so much better. And here we have these yellow leaves that need to be cut. And actually, they could be eaten if I had cut them a few days ago. So as you can see, it's counterintuitive, or it's counterproductive, because being afraid doesn't prevent me to lose them. Actually, it makes it worse. It increases the risk of losing the opportunity of eating what I'm producing. Sometimes I harvest something, sometimes I prune. It doesn't matter either way, but I have to cut something. I start by pruning things that are visible dead, that of course it has to be taken. And after that, I try to harvest something. It doesn't matter what it is. And the idea is to use that something. So if I see that I have parsley to harvest, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna prepare something that I can use parsley that day. The same with basil, any herb or any leaves that I have to harvest. And if I am not gonna use it, I try to research how I'm gonna preserve it. Last week I did that with the stevia, and I had to do it again because it grew so much after I harvested the stevia. Actually, I harvested a bunch of stevia, I dried the leaves, then I ground it, and I made natural sweetener that actually tastes amazing. Let's try it to see if it tastes like sugar. Yeah, it's sweet like sugar. Actually, I think it's sweeter than sugar. I have some sugar here, real sugar, I mean refined sugar, refined white sugar. Let me taste it. Definitely sweeter than sugar. Let me try it again. You feel a little herbal taste. It's super sweet actually. It's way sweeter than sugar. You can taste some herb notes, I would say. It's very subtle, but I think when you use it to add sweetness to something, you are not going to feel it. It definitely smells herby, but it tastes like sugar. And it's something that I can actually have for a long time in my fridge. The second thing I kind of anticipated when I talked about the stevia, I am trying to learn how to preserve food. It's something that I don't know much about it, but I've been learning a lot. The next step is the basil, because I found that dried basil, they don't taste the same as fresh basil, but I discovered that there are a lot of techniques to preserve the basil, and I'm gonna do that. I'm particularly curious about the technique that you use salt for that, because after that I can use the salt, infuse it with basil, and I think it's gonna be delicious, because this way it eases my anxiety, because I know I'm harvesting the basil, but I still have the basil. And the other small, very small, I would say tiny rule that I have, tiny step, is being grateful for that. So I like to journal, and what I do every time I harvest something and I use in my kitchen, I make sure to write down, even if I don't have my journal with me, but I make sure that I will write down that I'm grateful that I used that herb or that green or that leaf that day, because by doing that I make my action more real, I would say. Sometimes we forget there are so many things happening at the same time in our lives that we forget what we do on a daily basis. And I feel like when I write down something, or I document that thing actually, and it's, even if I don't come back to read it again, the fact that I wrote it down, it's enough for my brain to register it. But of course I come back and I read it again, because that helps me to understand that I'm gonna have more food to harvest. As you can see, this video is all about opening my heart to you, because I believe in honesty. I believe this channel is a safe space for us, you, me, everyone, to feel safe, to share their struggles. That's what I'm doing here. And if you're not a subscriber yet, I would say give it a chance, subscribe, because I want to share my whole journey with you. And actually, I totally recommend you to watch this video here, so you can know what is my channel is about. And I'm pretty sure if you give it a chance, you are going to find value that is gonna elevate your lifestyle.